because this doesn't even need to be part of the show, but if it ends up being interesting, then I could leave it in.
And we would have an episode title of Bill's Big Package.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, that'll reel in. Then we could bring back the Tinder segment. So the fucking the Final Fantasy XIV expansion is launching the same week as Thanksgiving in November.
Okay.
Well, I think technically it's the week before if you do a pre-order. So like, I don't know why you wouldn't pre-order it and get it a week early. So I'm going to be in Pittsburgh that week before because I'm going to a show. So I can't, my desktop is too big to take and travel with. It'll just be a pain in the ass, and I'm worried I'll break it.
Right.
PS5 is now too big to take, and also it's like entrenched in my like TV stand thing. It would actually be probably more annoying to take than my desktop, even though it's smaller than the desktop.
Sure.
And so they released a benchmark for the expansion to say like, hey, you know, we'll give you a score. This is how the game is going to run on your device. So I run it on my laptop, which is 6 years old now.
Yeah.
I think. And it was some rough stuff. It was rough.
It's on that old 960, right?
Yeah, and the 960M, yeah.
I remember that because my old laptop has the same one.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember playing the game on that laptop and it was okay. I don't remember it being like an awful experience. But this benchmark was a struggle to get it, you know. It was not stable whatsoever. And then it's like, oh yeah, you can run the game. You might just have to turn down some settings. And I'm like, that's going to be miserable to me. I'm like running the game at, you know, 144 frames. So I'm like...
Yeah, once you go there, you can't go back. You can't downgrade.
Yeah, so I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm like, So I start looking at laptops.
Oh, no.
And then I decide that, like, because like otherwise, like, this laptop runs fine, you know. It's got an i7 quad core. It's 6 years old, but like, you know, it runs fine. It gets a little hot. It's got I went with a 4K screen at the time. I really didn't need it. That was overkill. But it, like, otherwise it runs fine. And in fact, like, I just had it's out of warranty now, but like I had like an extended warranty plan. And last year it was like blue screening to hell. And so I had it serviced. It's a Dell XPS 15. And they replaced the SSD. The SSD was apparently causing the issues. So it's got a new SSD. Last year I also replaced the battery because the battery life was really bad. So it's got a new battery. It's got a new SSD. And so, you know, it's fine otherwise, but I'm like, God, it can't even run this, you know, old MMO.
This game that you do nothing but complain about.
Yeah, I know. But one of my big complaints is that there's no content. And this is like, you know, this is the
right. This is a big deal.
This is the expansion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to be with my sister, who's going to be sitting there playing it. And I'm just going to be sitting like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Oh, you're leveling up? Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice if I could do that. So I'm looking at laptops, and then I bought a laptop, is the long and short of it.
Yeah, I felt like it was going in that direction.
Yeah. So, because it turns out that there are like new laptops coming out like at this time, because of why the fuck wouldn't they be? I mean, new stuff's always coming out, but like as I'm looking, there are new stuff coming out. And I figured, you know, I don't know how long it'll take for something to arrive. I'll just want to have it now. And then my mom's been complaining about, she has my old Chromebook and she's been using that, and that's fine for like regular day-to-day stuff. In fact, I replaced the battery on that because she was complaining about battery life on that, so I replaced that battery. But she like wants to be able to like do more with her documents. She has like old like Microsoft Publisher files, and like she wants to do like more PDF stuff. And so originally I was going to sell my computer because I was looking online, and it's still worth a fair bit. It like, you know, even though it's 6 years old. So I was going to be able to like sell it and get some back, you know, for the new one that I was maybe looking at.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, I could just give it to her, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's fine, and I just replaced parts on it, so it's like, it's completely usable.
She can't run Final Fantasy on it, which I don't think is going to be a deal breaker.
I don't think so either, even though she's been very curious about the game.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because she used to play RuneScape with us. But they're very different MMOs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You could have like a entire like family raid group pretty soon.
I know. Yeah. My brother could actually play because he has my old PS4. But yeah. But I can't do that to them. I can't. I already did it to my sister, and she's, you know, she's in deeper than I am. So. Yeah. So anyway, the laptop.
She's in deeper than you are, says the person who just purchased a laptop.
I know.
For 1 week.
I haven't told her yet because she's going to mercilessly make fun of me for it. So yeah. So it's coming tomorrow. I thought about getting just like the newer version of the Dell XPS 15. Because that has an OLED, the new one. And I was like, oh, that'll look fantastic because this screen looks amazing. And I wouldn't go for the 4K in the new one. They have a 3.5K screen. I was like, okay, you know, that's a nice compromise. They'll probably have better battery life, you know, with the OLED, and it's not a 4K screen. But it's only 60 hertz. And I was like,
yeah,
that's fine on a laptop, I guess. But if I'm going to use it for, you know, gaming, and it won't be like a gaming machine, I'll still use it for productivity, but like,
yeah, because outside of this one period of time, like you still have a really good desktop at home, right? So yeah. So so I went with the Razer Blade 14, which is it's brand new. So it has a 3070 in it. Okay.
Which is the same GPU that I got for my desktop.
Unreal.
And so the only reason is that like it's overkill in a laptop. It's completely overkill in a laptop. There is no need to have a 3070.
Yeah.
The only reason is that the 3070 model is the one with 1440p. The screen. The 3060 model is 1080p. And I didn't want to go back to 1080p.
Right.
So that's the only difference. Otherwise, yeah, I don't need a friggin' 3070 in a laptop. It's too much.
Yeah, I mean it's future proof.
It is, yeah, and it has like a Ryzen 9, but it's a mobile CPU, and it's basically clocked it's clocked the same as my desktop Ryzen 7, which is an older Ryzen 7. So it's like I bought a mobile version of my desktop, I guess.
Yeah, that's really cool though.
Yeah, and it's also like super thin, so it's a 14-inch, and it's really small, and I wanted the portability of it too.
Yeah, that's a good size.
Even though my 15-inch isn't like big and bulky or anything, but like in 6 years they've made these things friggin' small.
Yeah.
And I read reviews, and apparently like it stays cool. The cooling's really good. It has a vapor chamber. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. I might write a review about it. I've never done like a laptop review. I've just done like tablets and shit.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I'm going to be in the market probably later this year, or if not next year.
Yeah.
For something new. So that's cool.
So that's the dumb shit I did. Oh yeah. But I mean, I guess it'll be better because now like I could travel again. I guess.
Yeah.
I'll have something.
And it's not like your old laptop is going to waste either.
No,
so
right.
That's cool.
Yeah. I try not to do that. Like, I was able to get a PS5 at launch. I gave the PS4 to my brother, and he uses it. So, like, I don't like to waste shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know if I'm going to keep this for the podcast, but I just wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, so when's it coming in?
It's supposed to come tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. It took about a week. I got it from Best Buy because I had like $11 of credit, but I had it, so why the hell not?
Yeah, why not?
And it's you like said a drop in the bucket, but
now this is one that just came out, or you're saying like there are some on the horizon, but you didn't want to wait.
No, these like just came out. I think the Dell one I was looking at, the new XPS 15 came out in like May.
Okay.
This Razer came out like a few weeks ago. It's like brand friggin' new.
I see.
But it just happened to be when I was looking at it because the Final Fantasy 14 benchmark came out just a few weeks ago. So
yeah,
yeah. But like I just wanted to have it.
You should probably think about PC Game Pass at this point.
I got a month because I ordered it from Best Buy, so they're giving me a month of it.
Nice.
Because I've considered it, but it doesn't have the same parity as the Xbox One because they want to push the boxes,
That's true, yeah.
So yeah, I've like looked at the games. It has a decent selection. It's not terrible, but it's just not at the same level as the console version.
Right.
Like it has some like good RPGs on there. I think it's like got a lot of CRPGs that I actually already have from like all the different. Because like Twitch gives away games, and
yeah.
I still haven't bothered to download the Epic Game Store, even though they give away free games. I always forget it exists.
Which is fair.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, because like all I have is I just have Steam, and GOG. Oh, and I have Itch, but like I always forget Itch exists too, even though I bought that enormous bundle last summer.
Oh yeah, that was
for
really
the
cool.
social justice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I always forget the Epic Store exists, and then I don't like buy like Ubisoft games or EA games, so I don't have their launchers either.
Right. Yeah, I like that with. I'm not sure if it's on the PC version, but the Xbox version of Game Pass has EA subscription like packed into it, which is nice.
Yeah, with that, do you get the current versions of or is it the older versions of the sports games?
So, yeah, there's a number of months that you have to wait after release.
I see.
So, like, I wouldn't be able. I think what I can do is I can probably play NHL 22 like a few days early. I think because I remember a couple years ago, for some reason I was into Madden. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
But I remember with that subscription, you could play like 10 hours of the game when it comes out, and you can play it a few days early.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I might do that, like, to play it a few days early. But I'm going to end up buying the game, NHL.
Right.
NHL, that is, not Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that by the end of our recording today, there's some news about NHL 22 because EA is having its like press conference right now.
Oh, is this in place of their E3, or is this just like a?
Yeah, they didn't have a presence at E3, I don't think.
Right. Do you think they will for NHL? Or is it just a long shot?
I think the best. Yeah, it's a long shot. The best I'm probably hoping for is like some stuff for like reporters.
Sure.
After the fact.
That's usually what.
That's usually what they do. Yeah. because you have to imagine it's going to be like FIFA and Battlefield and I don't know, whatever else they have coming, probably some Star Wars thing.
Right. Did you see the story about the warehouse full of PS4s?
No, I did not.
I don't have like the source for it was all over the place. But I didn't put this in the thing. There was like a I think it was in Europe. Like some law enforcement found a warehouse full of PS4s.
Oh no, I did hear about this. Yeah,
and everybody was convinced it was for crypto mining. Like they converted the PlayStations into, I guess, PCs for crypto mining, but then it turns out that it was to farm FIFA shit.
Oh,
somehow.
No way. I only saw the initial report about the crypto
Yeah.
and that they confiscated them.
Yeah, no, it turns out it was for FIFA shit.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's...
probably some Ultimate Team stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, I guess it's like basically the same kind of... You know, it's like basically just trying to get NFTs, but it's FIFA.
Yeah. You're probably just like selling that stuff like on the internet for money anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
If only NHL had the fan base large enough to justify a warehouse full of
right
PS4s.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because there was some news about FIFA that there won't be crossplay on the next version, and so like you can kind of assume that NHL won't have crossplay either because that just comes down to like an EA thing, like an infrastructure thing.
It's an EA thing. It's not like a Sony thing.
You know, it could be Sony, because I remember in the past Sony has been like blocking that from happening. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could come down to Sony, but it's not like people like. You can go by what FIFA announces to determine like what's going to happen in NHL.
Sure.
If FIFA doesn't have something, there's no way the NHL.
Right.
Yeah.
So we promised it for weeks now, like a month ago, and we did it. We watched The Sexy Beasts, the first episode on Netflix.
Series premiere.
Yeah. Well, sort of. Apparently, it was a show in the UK. I looked this up.
Of course, because every reality show that comes out in America is like a ripoff of something from, or an adaptation of something from the UK.
Yeah.
Or somewhere else. Yeah.
And the Vulture article, or something like that, or maybe it was Variety, something like that. Article I read about it said it was like wildly popular. And of course, it only had one season of 6 episodes in the UK. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, wildly popular, huh? All right. But yeah, we watched it. We did it.
It was only 24 minutes long, which I appreciated.
I did too, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, aren't kind of most dating reality shows, you know, like in the 45-minute mark? But I was like, all right. I was like, cool, I don't have to spend a ton of time on this. But then I was like, is there really going to be anything here if they couldn't fill 45 minutes? And yeah, I think they struggled too. At least that's what
they did.
I thought.
Yeah, they did struggle. They struggled and they made some interesting choices throughout the episode. I was thinking we could maybe just kind of go through it sequentially and kind of break down the events of the episode.
Sure, yeah, by all means. Because you want to sort of dive deep into this. Because we were talking before we started recording. I wanted to maybe cut the segment entirely. Because I watched it and like I didn't really, you know, I was like worried I wouldn't have anything to say about it. Because I was just, I even texted you last night. I was like, yeah, it sure exists, huh?
Yeah, I should have probably taken that as a sign that you weren't terribly enthusiastic, or at least on the level that I am.
Yeah, you really are gung ho about it. So yeah, please. Take the
I
reins.
just thought I thought it was fascinating because, you know, we watched the trailer and we saw what the gimmick was and the prosthetics and, you know, the animal costumes but like this episode was strange for reasons I did not foresee.
Yeah.
So, all right. So to set this up, the format of the show is you have one person. In this episode's case, it was Emma the demon.
Mm-hmm.
And she is going to go on dates with 3 men. I did take notes on this episode. What I didn't do was I didn't get the names of any of the guys.
I gotta tell you, I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. I can just kind of refer to them by what the prosthetics they were wearing.
Yeah.
So we had Statue Man, who's like this sort of. I mean, he referred to himself as like a Greek god.
Mm-hmm.
At least in terms of like the prosthetics he was wearing. We have Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Just a guy dressed up as a mouse. And then we had a baboon.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, Emma the demon is going to date these 3 men. At the end of the first date, she's going to eliminate one. So then you're down to 2. The remaining 2 will then have a second date with Emma. And at the end of the episode, she will choose a winner. And that's how this works.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's basically it. Pretty simple. Didn't really need to go through all that, but I did. Okay, so the first choice that that the voiceover guy, the narrator, made that I thought was worth mentioning. So they're introducing Emma. You see her before you see any of her potential suitors. And she is asked the question, what does she look for in a guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she says that she goes for the bad guys.
Yeah.
She likes the bad guys.
Right. Yeah, I remember
But
that.
she likes the bad guys with, you know, a softness to them.
Yeah.
So the narrator, he says, soft inside with a hard shell. Maybe this is the show where Emma will meet the tortoise of her dreams. So that's the quote from the narrator. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, we haven't seen these guys yet. Surely one of the guys is going to have like a turtle prosthetic, right? After that little voiceover.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Because why else would she be meeting the tortoise of her dreams? I mean, we're dressing up as like animals here. Like, what else is going to happen?
Yeah.
But no.
I had to tune out the narrator as it went along.
Oh no, there's some good stuff.
Because it was really bad. It was really bad.
Yes, but in this context, bad is good.
The problem. There's a lot of problems. One of the problems with this show is that they don't have a host, and so there's no one to like sort of move things along.
Right.
At all. So it's just kind of these people in masks just kind of standing around. And so when things get awkward, they kind of just let it hang.
Yeah.
And then it's only like in post where they've written something for like some shitty line for the narrator to say after the fact.
Yeah.
Like, boy, this baboon's all hot and bothered or something like stupid like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I have one that I quoted and I wrote down for later, but we'll get to
but then meanwhile, it's like just these people just standing around. Like, okay, what are we supposed to do now? Like, I just dumped this dude and he's still sitting there. Like, there's no, like, they're not, these people aren't, you know, like TV ready producers, but like you have the woman, like Emma, she's the one that's sort of like hosting it.
Yeah, she is.
But that's not her job. She's like a contestant. She's, you know, it's just very weird. They need somebody to be like, I don't know any of the hosts of these dating shows, but like they need one of them.
Well, it's not Chris Harrison.
They need like a Seacrest. They need a you know.
Chris Harrison is the guy that got booted off of Bachelor after he made some really problematic and I mean, just racist comments.
Of course,
on a Entertainment Tonight or whatever.
Well, then put him on this, and he can make some speciesist comment. I don't. Yeah. But they need somebody.
They do. They definitely do. Because Emma was pulling double duty here for sure.
Yeah. Like they're really putting her to work. Like
they are. Yeah. But at least they gave her a portrait in the Manor, which has the clever title of Sexy Beast Manor.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think might just be like the repurposed Hill House sets.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I didn't know where the hell we were or anything, because they're in a castle, and two of the dudes were British. Yeah. And yeah, I couldn't get, like, are we in Europe or like where the hell?
And it's even more difficult because they were clearly shooting this like in the middle of COVID, because all the places they go to are empty. They have like maybe a few extras in the background.
Yeah, who they've only instructed to like sort of gawk at the masks.
Yeah.
It's all very uncomfortable. But I can't tell if it's because it's naturally uncomfortable or if they've just like made it uncomfortable on purpose.
That's a good question. I don't know if it's just a poorly edited show or whether they're really going for like just a very different vibe.
Yeah, because like they're at a bar and it's clearly not like a real bar, or it's a bar that they've emptied to shoot this, and they have people.
It's a bar that probably wasn't even open.
Yeah, and they have like extras watching them. You know.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. And not because they're wearing masks. It's bizarre because it's being recorded.
Yeah, exactly. The masks are like the least strange thing by the end of it.
Yeah. Even though they keep like reference, like every 2 seconds they're like, oh, I need to see what you look like under the mask. Or like...
Yeah, so that's actually, that's a good point, because the whole selling point of the show is that we're getting rid of like superficiality, if that's a word.
No, yeah.
Okay. We're getting rid of the superficial side of dating, right? We're taking away the looks, and we're gonna dive deeper than that. But then you watch this episode, and like all these people are talking about is looks.
Yes. Like
one of the guys, I think maybe it was Baboon. He's quoted in the beginning when you're first meeting him. You know, he's like, they ask him the same question of what do you look for in a date, and he's like, I look for a big ass. I look for an LL Cool J big old butt.
And the other one said, I'm a tits guy.
I'm a tits guy. Yeah. So like they are in these ridiculous prosthetics, and they are still just like.
Yeah, no, they're convinced that because they'll wear the mask, we can maybe create these genuine connections, and it's like, no, these are just horny dudes. They will just go for anybody with a pulse. These are lonely, horny dudes. Yep. So it doesn't matter what she looks like. It really doesn't. And then it turns out that she's a supermodel. So like,
yeah, everybody's hot.
Yeah, like they're all attractive thin singles. Like it doesn't matter. None of this matters. And it's like, she's just my type. It's like, of course she is. She's a hot supermodel.
Yeah.
Who are you fooling? Just your type.
So we made it, we actually made it just past 5 minutes before another Netflix show was awkwardly mentioned. Peaky Blinders.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I mean, I don't know if it's like a Netflix original, but it's definitely streaming on Netflix.
It is,
so
yeah.
It's product placement.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So, we get to the first date at the bar. Very awkward stuff. We really don't get anything of substance.
No.
From it.
And Emma even says that.
Yeah.
She was like, I didn't really get to know them.
Yeah, but now I have to eliminate one of them.
Yeah,
based on absolutely nothing. Well, actually, absolutely nothing, because she does have a reason, which we'll get to in a second. But go ahead.
But So this was the speed dating round. So she literally got like, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, which is cut down into, I don't know, 2 minutes each, maybe probably less.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so this is, but at the same time, so we already said that like the people that the two that survive, they get to go on like a full date later on.
Yeah.
But then that also gets cut down. So that's also basically like in what you're viewing, that's also a speed date because it's cut down.
Yeah, because this episode is 24 minutes long.
And half the episode is talking heads where they have to explain what they're thinking, you know. And most of that is just like, oh, I need to see what's under the mask, or you know, or I don't care what's under the mask, or
I think at one point one of the guys said, "Let me rip that mask off."
He said that twice. He said that before he saw her, and then he said it after he was convinced that he was in love with her.
Oh man.
He said it twice. And they used it twice. There was nothing going on here.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, but Ratatouille is the first guy to be eliminated. And her reasoning for this, which she's talking in front of all three of them,
which is incredibly awkward.
It's so awkward. And she tells Ratatouille, she's like, yeah, you just talked over me for like the entire day.
Yeah.
And we saw part of this, and he actually mansplained the term banter.
Well, I mean, she did. She said that she didn't know what it was.
Oh, did she say she didn't know?
Yeah.
Okay,
she was
so
like,
that's
oh,
not
like,
as bad.
I don't know what is that?
Which also, like, okay, so she's definitely not from the UK. I mean, her accent didn't match up either. See, I have no idea where they got these people from.
Where are we? We're like at the nexus of the universe. Like, it's so bizarre.
I don't even know if that amusement park they went to had like a name.
No, they don't mention anything. They don't mention. Yeah, like we're in some like Universal Studios lot. It's like what? Where is this?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Ratatouille is eliminated, and the voiceover has a line for him on his way out, which is the mouse dropping has caused a stink.
Fuck.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, I caught it. Yeah.
Okay. The mouse dropping has caused a stink.
Well, wasn't that also because he got eliminated and then he like started negging her like immediately?
Oh yeah, like you're gonna regret this when you see what I look like or whatever.
Yeah, he said something. Well, I think he said something ruder than that.
Yeah, probably.
And it was just like,
but it's funny though because the way they edited it, like you get a shot of her talking like outside of this, and she's like, "Yeah, it really doesn't matter what he looks like because his personality sucked."
Yeah.
And then the voiceover comes on. He's like, "Well, let's see what he looks like, and what she's missing."
Yeah, they edited it wrong. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because then he asks her. Then he asks her. He's like, "Well, like do you regret it?" And she's like, just sitting there.
It's like, no.
She's just sitting there. It's like, well, and we already know, so it's just uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. So then we get into the first longer date, and this is definitely the most bizarre segment for me, at least. Her and Baboon go to a spa, like a massage place.
This was surreal.
And
this was some fucked up shit.
It's funny. We might not get to this week, but I did put Quentin Tarantino on the list of topics today. And I think they actually brought him in to direct this segment because what you got was close-ups, extremely extended, long takes of their feet.
And their feet being rubbed.
Their feet being rubbed
and
because they're
oiled.
getting foot massages. Yes. So can you figure out the mindset of the producers here? Like, do you have any idea what they were going for?
I think it was supposed to be funny.
Okay.
Because there's the voiceover where the narrator accidentally reveals that he has a foot fetish. Haha. And it's
Right.
just incredibly gross.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just so gross.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
and it's not funny. It's not funny.
No, it's not. I like, for me, I was thinking, okay, so like they're all dressed up in prosthetics. They're really not showing any skin, right? But this is a dating show, so they want to have like something. And all they had to work with was the feet, so they really went down that road.
They could have had regular massages.
Yeah.
Nothing is preventing that.
No.
And they also could have done this, but without just like the sexy foot montage. Like, it was disgusting.
And there were like 4 of them too. There were like 4 different.
It was like a minute and a half of feet shots.
Oh man.
And,
yeah, it's just incredible.
And then you bring in these feet masseuses, these older women. For whatever reason, you're subjecting them to this. Hopefully they were paid well.
I hope so.
Because you're making them sit through the most. What was the question she asked him? It was just like,
oh yeah. So this was I wanted to mention this.
just the worst conversation.
So the guy, and by the way, this isn't Baboon. I was wrong. It's Stone Man.
Yes.
Just so we have that cleared up. So Stone Man, they're having a conversation during the massage, and he says that he's a very intuitive person. And she's like, "Oh, well, that's cool. How so?" And he says, "Well, a few weeks ago, somebody asked me to guess their age, and I guessed 26, and they were like, 'Wow, you're right.'" So he successfully guessed someone's age a couple of weeks before, and so that because of that, he's a very intuitive person.
I wasn't even gonna get here yet. Because before that, she asks just like, if money were no object, what would you do?
Oh, right, yeah.
And he says, travel the world. Wow, man. And then he says, it's because I love culture.
Yeah.
I love culture. If you go to Italy, you don't want a hamburger. It's a great, man.
Well, a few minutes before this, he was doing one of those backstage, like diary room sessions or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And this is a direct quote. He says, "I've got a personality. I'm gonna let it shine."
Yeah.
He's got a personality.
Yeah. And if he had unlimited money, he'd travel the world. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, man. You're the only one.
Put that in the bio. But yeah, he's very intuitive.
Yeah, he can guess people's ages. Yeah.
And then unfortunately, for the poorly paid masseuse.
Well, hold on. He does guess Emma's age.
Correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's 21, we learn.
Yeah.
And then the masseuse, just joining in the conversation is like, well, can you guess my age?
Yeah.
Now, when you're doing this, you want to bet low.
Always.
But Mr. Intuition, he's not betting low. He's gambling a bit here. He wants to be right on the money because he's 2 for 2. And he really wants to impress on this date. So he goes for 62. He goes for 62. Let me compose myself here. And the look that she gives him, man, she was not happy about it.
And then she says,
yeah.
She says, give me his feet.
Yes.
Give me his feet. And then everybody sits there in silence for another 30 seconds.
And they don't cut away.
They don't cut away from it.
Oh, man. And then the voiceover guy comes on and he's like, she's 55. How dare you? Oh, man. Yeah, that was amazing. That whole segment was very surreal.
Just the strangest shit.
So we transitioned. Was there anything else from that segment?
I think that was the whole thing.
Okay.
I think that was
because then we're going to an amusement park.
Yeah. This dude was set up to win immediately. Like immediately.
He was given the old winners edit.
Yeah. Well, of course, like it was clear from the first date. Like they had the best conversation in the speed date because it was the most like conversation. So I was like, okay, yeah, she's gonna go for him. But
this is, by the way, this is the baboon.
This is the baboon.
Yeah.
But then if you just look at the quality of the date they're given, one gets foot massage with two old women, and then the other one gets an amusement park date.
Yeah.
Come on.
And they have the amusement park all to themselves.
Yeah.
It's completely empty except for a few extras that are like gawking at them.
Right. Like, come on.
But so Baboon, while they're getting ready to ride one of the rides, he asks Emma what the craziest place that she's had sex is.
Yeah.
And I honestly forget what answer she gave. I think it was something pretty reasonable,
I think she just said in public.
Yeah, well,
I legitimately, I think that's just what she said.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Which, there's a wide array of possibilities there. But then he gets more specific because he answers the question and he says, on a hole on a golf course.
I thought he said in a golf cart.
No, I believe, if I heard correctly, it was on a hole on a golf course.
Okay, so this brings up a problem with the frigging masks. Is that since they're in a mask, their enunciation is not as clear as it might otherwise be.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's hard to understand and hear them because they're in a goddamn mask. Him especially, he's in a furry baboon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's something that they should have foreseen.
You'd think.
You would think. So then, they're talking a little more. Now they're riding a teacup. And he references the elimination from the previous day. And at that elimination, she said to the two guys remaining, she was like, we didn't have much time together, but I wasn't all that impressed. You guys should probably, step your game up for the next round, right? And so he feels the need to be like, when you said that yesterday at elimination, I thought that was so sexy. It really turned me on. When you told me to step my game up.
There's just nothing.
Yeah.
There's just nothing.
No, there really isn't. So yeah, like you mentioned, Baboon was set up for the win here. He does get the win in the end. We have a very awkward moment where Statue Man is just sitting on the couch while the other two embrace each other, and we get a close zoom in to his face.
He's like crying.
Yeah, he is on the verge of tears for sure. Some water coming out of that stone, but so one final quote I have is Baboon is like, they're finally together. Baboon is like, wow, this is such a fairy tale ending, and then he just immediately grabs her ass.
Yeah, and then they start making out.
They start making out, and then he says, I quote, "I got what I came for."
Yeah.
And they walk out.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Oh, man.
And that was it.
I got what I came for, and that was it. That was the episode. Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Did you stick around for the preview of episode 2?
If I did, I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, it looks like we have a sad badger.
Yeah, do
coming
we?
Up on the next one, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I felt like that was definitely worth getting into, because that was quite a trip.
Oh my god.
I don't anticipate that I'll be watching anymore.
Yeah.
Unless we want to do another deep dive next week. In that case, then I'm on board. But no, I think what's that?
The only problem is that now on my Netflix, it's going to be like continue watching Sexy Beast, and it's going to be stuck there.
Yeah, for like months, because there's no way to remove those.
Yeah.
So the temptation will always be there.
It's not going to be a temptation. It's just going to be a scarlet letter on my Netflix.
Yeah.
Just
really. You need to make a new account.
Remember when I said that they'd make the first episode like the best one?
Mm-hmm.
I
think that holds up, because I don't really know how you can top this, to be honest.
This was just some dreck. This was just slopped out. I thought the first episode would be the best edited one, and if the rest of them are worse than that, like, my god.
Yeah. I like a big ass. LL Cool J, big old butt.
I'm a tits man.
Yeah.
I'm a tits man.
But I do feel I want to give props to Emma, though, because I felt like she did a really good job with her hosting duties.
She was trying, man.
Yeah.
They just let shit hang, and it's not even in like they don't even have like musical cues to like be like, oh, that was awkward. They just kind of just let it sit.
Yep.
And even moments where they don't even have Mr. Narrator address them all, they just kind of just like a fart in the wind. It's just kind of, whew, just bizarre. Just so bizarre. And the masks are the least bizarre part of it all. Like,
I know. That's what really gets me.
You could get rid of the masks and do the same fucking show.
Yep.
Like, you just wouldn't.
I mean, I didn't mention this, but Baboon and Emma, they made out in the masks.
They made out in the masks once, yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of took the a lot of the well, I mean, it was obvious who she was going to pick anyway, but it took a lot of the suspense out of her choice.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, she's going to pick the dude she already made out with, like,
of course. But they needed to keep that in, because the entertainment of watching that happen outweighed any suspense killing for them.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we didn't really mention, but Baboon, when he took off the mask, he was still very hairy.
He was hairier with it off. Yes. I don't know. They did an amazing job of cramming all that hair in there.
I know, that was impressive.
He had a big mane.
I think the makeup the makeup staff on the show is pretty solid.
Oh yeah,
for what they're working with. Yeah, good stuff there.
Oh yeah. Like that, because that's got to be the initial draw. It's like, otherwise, why would you give a shit? Like, but that's just the funny thing, is that you can do the show without it, and it would be the same show.
Yep.
It just wouldn't. I don't know.
I can't believe you wanted to scrap this.
Speaking of sexy beasts, John Mayer.
Yes.
Is in the news.
John Mayer.
So this is another one of your joints.
Yeah, so John Mayer, musician, came out with a new album a week ago. His album is called Sob Rock. John Mayer has a bit of a shaky history, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's one way of...
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd check out this new album, see what he's up to, because it's been a while since I heard anything new from him.
Is he the Body Is Your Wonderland guy? Is that him?
Yes. Yeah. That was one of his, I believe, one of his breakout hits from like probably 20 years ago.
Probably.
So yeah, it's been a little while since he's put anything out. In fact, the the lead single off of this album that came out last Friday was actually released 3 years ago in 2018.
Sure. Why not?
Why not? I started listening to this album a little bit, just sampling a few tracks, and I get to this one song that's called Why You No Love Me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little ooh.
This just makes me sad.
Yeah, it's a little sad. It's a little cringe. But John Mayer, he has an explanation for for his approach to this new album. In his mind, his new album is a shitpost.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It's a shitpost. He says that in this post-pandemic world that we live in, not that it's a post-pandemic world, we're still very much in a pandemic. He says there's no more reason to deliberately adhere to an idea of cool.
Now, I take issue with this. Was John Mayer ever cool?
I'm trying to remember a time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I can't come up with anything, so I'm gonna say no.
So the idea to me that John Mayer considered himself cool, or was like attempting to be cool, is it's some interesting stuff conceptually.
Definitely, yeah. But for him, being able to shed this idea of having to worry about being cool, that gave him freedom to make an album that was, quote, provocative, if not antagonizing. So Mayer went on to say, and this is an article talking to Zane Lowe, reporter, and he went on to say that he wanted to get in trouble with this album. And he says, I want someone to tell me this is shit. And so I made a record that, to me at the time, only in a way to coax something out of me that I wouldn't normally have done, I shit posted a record. It's called Sob Rock because it's a shit post.
Okay.
No, he goes on. There's more. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
More importantly, it's what I thought was a shit post, and this gets down.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. And this gets down to where you have artists sit down in front of you and play what they think is their garbage, and you go, "That's the best thing I ever heard." I ever heard you play.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the real point of this is that John Mayer doesn't know what a shitpost is. So that's what we're dealing with.
That's what we're dealing with.
Because that was my suspicion, and then whenever he gave his definition of a shitpost, he made it abundantly clear.
Yeah. I mean, you have to understand, this guy is new to TikTok. He's only been in the TikTok sphere for a few months now.
It sounds like he's new to the internet too, because he also just stumbled upon Rage Comics.
Yes.
He's doing Why You Know Love.
Yeah.
Good
so,
God.
then we get into a painting metaphor. So to continue on here, it says Mayer explained that the desire to break free and shitpost an album came about because he, quote, never wanted to be that artist who runs out of paint colors and begins to just make the same songs over and over again, which, I mean, I'll get to that. But if you're lucky enough to be 20 years in, you have to deal with, wow, these paint colors they want me to use, it's another blue painting. So for me, I'm only interested if I get to put new paints on the canvas.
So then he wants to be the crazy guy in the asylum that's painting with shit.
Yeah, I can only imagine that the new color is brown.
Like what the fuck? He's mixing like 8 metaphors. Ay.
Yeah, that one's a little hard to follow, but he does mention that he doesn't want to make the same songs over and over again, and I hate to tell him, but like that's his entire career.
Yes. Yeah.
And this album is no exception. Apart from just like really intentionally like absurd lyrics, like everything else about it is just textbook John Mayer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Your Body is a Wonderland. That on its own is some absurd shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was his big one.
Yes.
I like at the end here, Mayer's certainly not the first musician to shitpost. What's funny is that the album itself might not be a shitpost, but him saying that it is more of a shitpost.
Yes. And it's also, it just feels like an excuse to make
Oh, completely.
a lousy album,
Yeah.
which is what it is. So,
and also
it feels like an intentional thing that he came up with after the fact.
Right. Yeah, but then he also wants somebody to say that it's the best thing that he's ever played.
Yeah. He's got this dream in his head.
He wants it both ways. He wants it to be shitty and also the best thing he's ever done.
Yes.
Come on.
He's looking for validation.
Mm-hmm. In all the wrong places.
He's not going to get it from this podcast.
Certainly not.
I mean, I don't know if you wanted to go into his previous stuff.
I did. Yes, I did.
Oh, perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
I did. So, it's easy to forget a little bit of John Mayer's past. Perhaps some of the TikTok stans have dug this up. I don't really know. But this is about 10 years ago. John Mayer, for whatever reason, thought that he had license to use the N-word. This is from The Guardian. This is from 2010. In some kind of interview I get from, I think, Rolling Stone, this is John Mayer, quote, "Someone asked me the other day, what does it feel like now to have a hood pass? And by the way, it's sort of a contradiction in terms, because if you really had a hood pass, you could call it an N-word pass." And he actually just says the N-word, you know, the full thing.
Of course.
So the problem is that he doubles down. And I in my head, I always remembered this, but I got the quote wrong. So This is from The Guardian. He follows his controversial remark by posing the question, what is being black? He then answers himself. It's making the most of your life. Not taking a single moment for granted. Taking something that's seen as a struggle and making it work for you, or you'll die inside. Not to say that my struggle is like the collective struggle of Black America, but maybe my struggle is similar to one black dude's. Holy shit.
Well, I'm so glad that we cleared that up from a true authority on the subject.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'd never heard that exact quote. That is horrendous.
Holy shit. And he goes on. He goes on. It gets worse. It somehow gets worse. Now, here's the part that I got mixed up in my head. When asked by the interviewer, do black women throw themselves at you? Which, I don't know. This interviewer is... I don't know what they're doing. Mayer responds, I don't think I open myself to it. My dick is sort of like a white supremacist. I've got a Benetton heart and a fucking David Duke cock. I'm going to start dating separately from my dick. Now, I always thought he said that he had a Nazi dick. Or like that his dick is like a Nazi. But no, he said that he has a David Duke cock. Now,
yeah, he's got a KKK C.
Yeah, David Duke was the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, if anybody is not familiar with that piece of shit. So, he's saying that he will not date black women because his penis is a white supremacist. What are you talking about? What? And then that he has a hood pass to say the N-word.
Oh boy.
What are you talking about? This is a shit post, let me tell you.
So yeah, I almost don't know what to say.
It's some rough shit.
Yeah, because I always heard about this. Like, I knew that he said something terrible, but I never heard the exact quotes, and I'm just like...
It's worse than you think.
It's worse than I definitely... Yeah.
It's worse than you think. I like that this article includes Ice-T's response. Ice-T said, wow, that's sad because I like that dude. Well, there go all his black fans and his hood pass. Damn, John. Thank you, Ice-T.
Damn, John.
You're a beacon of light.
Absolutely. I don't want any lemonade.
So yeah, that's a little bit of John Mayer for you.
Wow.
That is a shit post.
Man.
Should we move into other white people that think that they have license to say the N-word?
Yeah, I feel like there's a theme here. All right, so we can get into Quentin Tarantino. I put him on here because I've just been annoyed with the shit that he says.
Yeah.
For a while now. Okay. So, Quentin Tarantino's been making the rounds. You brought to my attention that he was on another previous subject of the podcast, Bret Easton Ellis's podcast earlier this week.
Yeah, for 3 hours.
Oof.
3 hours of that.
Man.
And you pay for the privilege.
Oh, no.
That's pay-gated.
Oh, well, that's good. That's actually good. So before that, he was on Joe Rogan.
Of course he was.
I think he was also on Dax Shepard, who's by far the least offensive of those three.
Yeah, but he's got... Dax Shepard has a very punchable face. I don't think he's ever done anything that's like... You know? I just...
yeah, some people just have that face.
Yeah, he's got one. But anyway.
So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a movie. It's something that exists in the world.
Yeah.
To quote your Sexy Beast reaction.
Yes.
Came out a couple of years ago. This was Tarantino's most recent movie. There was some controversy surrounding it pretty much immediately about one scene in particular, where he depicts Bruce Lee losing in a fist fight to the Brad Pitt character in the film.
Sure.
People really didn't like that, the depiction of Bruce Lee in this movie.
Yeah.
It was not fun to watch. It was in poor taste. I mean, the entire movie was not fun to watch, but that's beside the point. So, after that happened, Shannon Lee, Bruce's daughter, came out with a statement. How she critiqued it. She was not happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the end of it, right?
Yeah.
But of course, a couple years later, Tarantino is on Joe Rogan, and he decides to bring this up again.
Of course. He can never shut his fucking mouth.
Can never shut up. And he says that he's about to double down on his original defense of this scene.
Yeah.
So his explanation is that I'll pull a quote from Tarantino. Mm-hmm. So this is what he says on Joe Rogan. He says, if Cliff is the Brad Pitt character, if Cliff fought Bruce Lee at Madison Square Garden martial arts tournament, he would not stand a chance. But as a killer who has killed men before in a jungle, he would kill Bruce Lee. He'd fucking kill him. Bruce Lee is not a killer. He's actually facing a guy who could kill him. It's a different story. He goes on to say, where I'm coming from, I can understand his daughter having a problem with it. It's her father. I get that. But anybody else, suck a dick. He then says that the real Bruce Lee had no respect for American stuntmen.
That's rich coming from a guy that didn't have respect for his actors.
Yes.
And forced them to do some fucking dangerous stunts without stuntmen or stunt performers.
Right.
And injured them.
Yeah, the hypocrisy here is just overwhelming.
Yeah.
But there's a fundamental issue with this defense that he's made here, which is that Cliff is a fictional character that Tarantino created, and Bruce Lee was a real person.
Yeah, this is his Hollywood fan fiction.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is this is absolute bullshit. Like, it just is nonsense.
Yeah, this is like, can Goku beat Superman?
Exactly.
Except one of them. This is could
Superman versus Michael Jordan?
Yeah. You involve a real person that existed.
Yeah, and it's nonsense, and it's very clear when you watch this, and based on things that Tarantino has said, that the only point of this scene was to basically make fun of Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
that's really it. So after this podcast came out, Shannon Lee was compelled to make another statement. And she had a guest column in the Hollywood Reporter. It's a good piece. I would recommend reading it. I did pull some quotes from it. Basically, she says, I'm really fucking tired of white men in Hollywood trying to tell me who my father was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she says, calling her father arrogant and an asshole when they have no idea and cannot fathom what it might have taken to get work in the 60s and 70s in Hollywood as a Chinese man. I'm tired of white men in Hollywood mistaking his confidence, passion, and skill for hubris, and therefore finding it necessary to marginalize him and his contributions. She also goes on to make the point that Tarantino's continued criticisms of Bruce Lee are especially not welcome right now. Quote, at a time when Asian Americans are being physically attacked, told to go home because they are seen as not American, and demonized for something that has nothing to do with them. Yeah.
Yeah. This is also
Totally.
the guy that like tokenizes Asian culture. Like that's like all Kill Bill was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this just comes down to, I mean, it's problematic in a number of ways, but it comes down to the issue of Tarantino is someone who has the freedom to do whatever he wants in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he just seems oblivious to the fact that most people, especially minorities, don't have those same opportunities or the unlimited resources or the power to do those things. As an aside, like he could make any film that he wants to make. And that movie was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, I just really don't like that movie. And that was the film that he had the freedom to make whatever the hell he wanted, and that was the end result. Like,
yeah,
come on. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, like this kind of leads into another issue from earlier this year where Joshua James Richards, he's the DP for Chloe Zhao, the Best Picture winner and Best Director winner for Nomadland. So during like I guess the press tour for that film earlier this year, Joshua James Richards he called out Tarantino on some bullshit dating back to 2014 when Tarantino was at Cannes doing a press conference at the Cannes Festival. Pulp Fiction that year was the only movie that was being screened in 35 millimeter. And so during this press conference, Tarantino said, he says, as far as I'm concerned, digital projection is the death of cinema. The fact that most films aren't presented in 35 millimeter means that the world is lost. Digital projection is just television in cinema. So Joshua James Richards is like, no. He says Tarantino. This is a quote from Richards. He says Tarantino says digital is death of cinema. Fuck you, man. Chloe could get no backing because she's a Chinese woman. With digital, we could make our own movies for $100,000 at the level they could be shown as cinema. So yeah, he's 100% correct there. And the proof is that she won Best Picture at the Oscars, and she's a renowned filmmaker, and they have made 3 terrific movies together. So like there's Nomadland. He was also the DP on her debut, which is Songs My Brother Taught Me. And I didn't know this until I was just like researching for this story, but he used that film as his NYU thesis.
Oh, wow.
And that movie, let me tell you, is better than anything I've seen from Tarantino.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so like that just, it's another case of Tarantino just spouting his bullshit because he can do whatever he wants, and he thinks that like the way he does things is superior and anybody else that doesn't do it the same way is inferior, and he's completely ignoring the fact that, you know, other people don't have those same opportunities. And to be a fan of film and to just like completely dismiss anything that's shot digitally,
that's ridiculous,
is like the most ridiculous thing. Because that's what most films are nowadays.
Right. And it, like that cinematographer mentioned, like the fact is that it's cheaper to work with, and so people do not have the resources to source film the same way that directors that have been successful for 30 years can just do with a snap of their finger. It's ridiculous.
And like this point is proven without even getting into how great Richards is as a DP or how great Chloe Zhao is. Like that's beside the point. But yeah, like they make beautiful movies.
It's also ignoring the fact that you can do amazing things with digital. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Their 3 films together are all stunning. The other one is The Rider from a couple years ago, which is great as well. But yeah, like just this ongoing bullshit from Tarantino, walking around saying all this nonsense. It's annoying me.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention it. I wanted to bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
So now Tarantino bought a theater in LA, the Vista Theater. It's apparently historical. It was shut down, and he is only showing 35 millimeter films at this theater. And he says that they're going to show first run movies there, but only if the studios present him with a 35 millimeter copy. And that is just an extra expense that is not always going to happen.
Yeah. So, yeah, like what movies are you going to show? Like,
well, so he owns a separate theater in LA as well. I forget the name of that one, but he's owned this one for like almost 15 years now. But in 2014, he took over the curation of it. And since then, he basically just shows like double features of his movies, and he shows like classic films that he likes. So like way to spread the love in cinema there.
right. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, he can do whatever the fuck he wants if he buys it, but like, it doesn't. You're not really even practicing what you're preaching if you're trying to. Like he always his whole thing is like, oh, I love film, blah 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 blah. That was the whole point of his Once Upon a Time too, and it's like, no, you're just sort of a nepotist, and you stroke your own ego.
Yeah. Yeah, and with Once Upon a Time, it wasn't even just like a love letter to film. It was a love letter to a very specific type of old Western, like campy Western movie.
Yeah.
That was made for like an era and that nobody cares about except for him, and does not at all make for a compelling wide release film.
Yeah.
Just really ridiculous there. But yeah, so like you mentioned practicing what he preaches. Like, okay, he can just talk shit about other people, or like if he really cared that much, he could maybe try and like, I don't know, start a studio that made films in like on film and not digitally, or like he could try to like fund filmmakers that he likes,
right,
or like use his power and influence that way instead of just like sitting in the corner and complaining, and like buying up this theater and like living in the past by showing just his own movies and like some stuff that he likes from a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah, he's just annoying. I'm not a fan.
No, me neither. The only movie of his that I found watchable was Reservoir Dogs.
Which another thing, he was just, I guess, bullshitting some more, and he was like, oh yeah, I thought about maybe my final, because you know how his next movie is going to supposedly be his last one.
Yeah, he said that about every fucking movie. I
know, it's like he just does it for the press. He likes to talk about that every chance he gets. Which I guess, it keeps him in the news cycle in between movies. So I guess it's working. Like I'm pulling a lot of this stuff from IndieWire, which is a site that I love. I go there every day. I love the critics that work there, the editors and all that. But my God, the coverage they give to this man, it's like he's the president. Like everything he says. So that's the one aspect of IndieWire that I really am not a fan of. But yeah, so like, apparently he had the idea for his final film to be Reservoir Dogs, but an entirely black cast.
Okay.
Like, all right.
What?
I mean, it sounds kind of uninspired, but also like, why'd it get scrapped?
Yeah. Like what? What does that do? Like, what is
that doing for the story or for anything, really?
Yeah. Like what?
Like, you're not John Mayer. You're not an authority on
like what?
on the Black experience. So.
Yeah, like what is that? What is? It's not. It's not like it's like a play or something like where you. What?
I think there was a rumor that it would be turned into a play too if the movie didn't pan out.
Sure.
So
yeah, it's like if you like, it's the same story with a different cat. Like what is what?
Yeah. Because that's what coming from Quentin Tarantino, I can't imagine he would restructure the story to make it worthwhile.
No.
It just sounds like a headline grabbing thing, like a gimmick.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what do you, why?
Yeah,
why
exactly?
If you want to have an all black cast, that is one, like, you cannot come up with a movie with an all black cast.
Exactly. Like, it's so low effort that all you're going to do is just remake your debut.
Yeah. Like, what?
But yeah, like, if that really is his last movie, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Like, whatever his last... Like, if his next one, whatever he makes next is his final one, and he's not just, like, pulling a Brett Favre and doing it for the press.
Well, he said that for the last however many movies. He said that with... Hollywood, and he said that with whatever the one before that was, so
he's already been doing a Brett Favre then.
Yeah, he's been doing this for years.
Oh shoot!
Each movie's his last. Each movie's his last one.
Oh, okay.
No, that's why it's bullshit.
Because I thought he wanted to make like 10 of them, so this will be his 10th movie.
He's been saying the same shit for years.
Well, that's not.
Django is going to be his last one. Hollywood was going to be his last one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not someone you want to be out there representing the world of cinema. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then I think his other whole thing is like he doesn't know which one, because Kill Bill is 2 parts or whatever. So his numbering on all, he's annoying. He's just annoying.
So pretentious.
Yeah.
But then people give him the attention too, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I can't talk because I'm talking about him on a podcast right now.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, that was the whole Tarantino thing. I just hate seeing him walk around with his. Nope.
And I really didn't have to mention like the Bezos shit.
Oh yeah, no, I was actually glad that you put that on there though, because I thought the whole thing was just so outrageous.
Yeah, like I put it on there.
Do you want to quickly? Because that won't be relevant next week either.
Yeah, I know. I put it on there because I happened to be up while it was happening, and I just thought it was funny that like I get up early for weird live events.
Yeah,
like just suddenly. But then like after a few days, I was just like, I'm just sick of this shit. I'm sick of his dong rocket.
I know.
But yeah, so the Bezos rocket thing happened. They didn't go to space. They were not in space. It's basically the equivalent of like, you know those plane rides where they like go up and then down at a certain trajectory, and so it like simulates anti-gravity. Mm-hmm. That they do for like promo events or whatever. That's like the equivalent of what they fucking did. Like they were not.
Yeah.
They were out there for like 11 minutes or some shit.
Yeah, he rode a dick for 11 minutes.
Yeah. But the like, because there was the live feed or whatever on CBS, and so I clicked on it because it was on Twitter, and so I clicked on it and I was there for this quote. I don't know which CBS anchor was saying this, but they said, "Can you imagine a better crew to go to space with? Jeff Bezos, his brother, a 72-year-old, and an 18-year-old." And they were like serious. They were serious. And I was like, what are you talking? What? What are you talking about? Yeah, I want to go to space with Jeff Bezos, his dumb fuck brother, his blood boy, and then some old man. Yeah, that's my crew. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my crew.
Man.
Just the bleakest shit in the world.
Oh, it really is. I mean, just the whole idea of all these billionaires suddenly obsessed with going to space as the world below them is burning.
Yeah, it's this dick measuring contest, and then his whole thing is like, well, we got to move all the industry out to the moon. It's like, what?
Man, did you see how he thanked Amazon employees and customers for making it possible?
Yeah, because we paid for it all. Yeah, it's like, we fucking know you fucking chode.
Yeah, you don't give them livable wages, and their working conditions are shit, and that's why you were able to go to space.
Yeah, they can't piss. They can't piss
Yes.
at work, and you're going to space on a cock rocket. You're cock it.
I saw a tweet. If I knew we were talking about this, I would have kept the source of it. But I did see a tweet where somebody was like, if he wanted big dick energy, he would have just fulfilled all the teachers' Amazon wish lists.
Yeah, he can end hunger. He can, yeah.
Yep.
But no, he's got to be in these dick measuring contests with these billionaires. In his stupid cowboy hat. Like, it's so ridiculous, and just the fawning coverage of it from these news outlets.
I know. Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck what he does? Who gives a fuck?
There is a wildfire in the West that is the size of Oregon. And we're excited about this.
Can you believe that Jeff Bezos took his blood boy up to the atmosphere for 11 minutes? Wow. Like, what? And the other one, Branson, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Musk, who gives a shit? They're trying to leave. They're like dining and dashing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They left a big old mess on the table, too.
Yeah. This fucking cowboy hat. And it's hilarious, too. It's like, these dudes, like, will go through a divorce, and then they're so obscenely wealthy that they can't just buy a sports car. So they need to... They're trying to go to space instead.
Yeah.
My God.
Just let me know when he's going to go and he's going to stay there.
Right. It's like, yeah, good luck. Good luck. Go to places that don't have a livable atmosphere. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
While continuing to make our atmosphere unlivable.
Yeah. Just... What a joke.
Yep.
So yeah, that was basically it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
On so many levels.
I was like awake, and I was actually doing notes for the show pretty early, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And then I see like, oh, that looks like a dong. He's in a dong rocket. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Whew. Yeah, that's probably gonna do it for us. On that
well,
note.
do you think anything about the design of that rocket had to do with like aerodynamics?
Who knows? It's
like this was necessary.
I'm gonna just go full Freudian. It's so fucking Freudian.
Yeah, no, it really is. It couldn't be more transparent.
They're literally in dick measuring contest with each other. Like,
yeah, it's all a big joke.
Yeah. It's like you did what a Russian monkey did in the 50s. And actually the monkey was better at it. Like, come on.
Yep.
You and your dipshit brother. God. Yeah, that's our show.
That should do it. Yeah.
That's our show. Hope you enjoyed it. Do have an update for you. The show's now on Stitcher, Podcast Index, and TuneIn. And speaking of Jeff Bezos, hopefully soon we'll be on Amazon Music. I sent in the application because I thought we were already on it, but then I was going through and like double checking everything. So we'll be on.
He's been busy. He's been busy. So
he's been busy. Jeff's got to do that after he comes back down into orbit. So yeah, if there is any sort of podcast service we are not on, please let me know, and I will try to accommodate. And for a non-exhaustive list of all the services you can find the show on, check out video.deadendroad.co. And as always, if you have like any kind of third-party, pod catcher service, you can just use the RSS feed and add it to your app, and it'll work just fine because that's what I do.
Same.
Yeah. And by the time this is live, DeadEndRoad Publishing is going to be having a Christmas in July sale for Fred's First Adventure. That'll be going until July 31st. Hardcover and ebook will be on sale, so check out publishing.deadendroad.co for details on that. Because I got to figure out pricing today and tomorrow. So, yeah, it makes a great gift for the little ones. Check that out. You can follow me everywhere at DeadEndRoad. Facebook is DeadEndRoad. Facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV, Twitch.com/DeadEndRoadTV. The email is video@deadendroad.co. That should be everything. Yeah. I realized that this has been the longest consecutive stretch of episodes that this show has had.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Normally we would do it ended up being one a month was kind of the best. And we've been weekly for a good long stretch here, so hopefully this doesn't jinx it.
Yeah.
But we have not had show-breaking technical issues either, so knock on wood with that. So yeah, this has been good.
All right.
We will see you next week, as long as I didn't completely ruin things by putting that out into the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it.